Hi, second years. Um, First of all, I guess I hope you're all keeping well. And I suppose to compliment the people who have submitted the work so far, it's been excellent. Now I know there were a couple of people out the week leading up to the school closure, and we're about to move on ahead with some other factorising stuff as well. So I'm going to just very quickly recap over the first three ways we learned how to factorise the week before the school closed, for those people who are finding it a little bit tricky or who maybe missed a day or two during that week. So first of all, we look for, when we're factorising, all we're doing is looking to take out, as I say, a factor or something that can divide into everything we see, and we leave that outside brackets and put the resultants or what's left over back or inside the brackets. And I suppose the easiest way to explain that is examples. So first way I said is a common factor. So something that's common to each term. So let's take one like 4x plus 6y. If we were asked to factorise this, very quickly, if you look at the two numbers, or what we call, they're called coefficients, just numbers are fine. Those two numbers we can see are both divisible by 2. So if I leave 2 outside brackets here, and then divide 2 into 4x, which is the first term, that would leave me with 2x left over. And similarly with 6y, I'd have 3y left over. And there's nothing else I can factorise out of that. There's nothing else common there that I can take out. So that's that first one, fully factorised. I'm going to just work on ahead a little bit now, maybe another step on, and say if I take one like 4x plus ax. So now this time when you're looking at the two coefficients or numbers before the x's, well, one of them is actually a letter. So there's nothing common there. We can't see anything to divide into number wise. But if we look at the letters, both terms here have an x. Okay, so we can factorise out x here. So divide 4x by x, that just leaves me with 4. And divide ax by x, and that just leaves me with a. And that's that fully factorised. And just the final one for a common factor would be maybe one that would be like, I'll stick with the 4x, and I'm going to make it, actually 4x is fine, plus 6x squared. So now I have both. I can see first of all into 4 and into 6 the number 2 would factorise, so I can take 2 as a factor, and also here into the letters or into the variables, my x and my x squared, well, they could both be divided by x. If both of them were x squareds, like this one over here, then we could have it x squared, but obviously I can't. The most I can divide this one, the first one, by is just x. So let's go. 4x divided by 2x will divide the number by the number and the letter by the letter. So 4 divided by 2 leaves me with 2, and x divided by x, well, that cancels out. So plus 6 divided by 2 is 3, and x squared divided by x leaves me with x. Okay, and that's that fully factorised again. Okay, so that's that first one done. And that's what we call our common factor. Okay, so when we're ever asked to factorise, this is always the easiest way, so I'd always look for this way to try and solve. Okay, the next way is called grouping. And with grouping, it is if I have maybe like 4 terms. So let's say 2 x plus 2y plus ax plus ay. So there's 4 terms, and looking across them, well, there's nothing common all the way across that I can divide into number wise or letter wise. So I have a little bit of a predicament here where what's my first step? So if you get a question like this, all we do is we take the first two terms and that'll be our first part of the problem. Then we'll take our second two terms after that. And then we try and factorize both halves separately. So in the first one I'll have 2x plus 2y. And as above, just take a common term and it will be 2. And that would leave me with x plus y. X is a bit messy there. X plus y in the brackets. And on the second one there, it would be, well, I can take a out of both of them. So take a out and I'll be left with x plus y. And now, going on from here, there's one extra step we can do. And we can take both coefficients, so the two numbers, outside each bracket. So the 2 plus a, put that into one bracket. And when you have the same answer in both other brackets, so I had x plus y left over in both other brackets, that can go into the second bracket beside it. Okay, and where we got that from, if we look at last year when we expanded brackets. So if we were asked to expand brackets with two terms in each bracket, let's do an example here. So I'm going to say 2x plus y multiplied by x plus y. So last year and first year we would have looked at expanding brackets like this, and when we looked at problems like this, we would have said, well, it would be the first term in the first bracket, so 2x by all the second bracket, so x plus y, and then the second term in the first bracket, so y by all the second bracket again. So that way everything in the first bracket comes in contact with everything in the second bracket in a multiply, because that's what it asked me to do. So now you'll see that I have two different terms outside the brackets and the same inside the brackets, there and there. And that's exactly what you had up here. Okay, so all you're doing simply when you get to that stage is working back up to put them back into the brackets that you would have started out with last year. Okay, so that's where that grouping comes from. So let's try and do one more of those. I'll give the problem, and if you found those tricky, maybe pause this video for a second once I pose the problem and see if you can do it yourself. So I'm going to say 4 a plus 6b plus 2 plus xa plus x, I'm trying to do it in my head as we go, plus 2a squared plus 3ab. Okay, so here it looks like a very difficult problem to try and solve straight away. If you found the ones tricky so far, and that last little step, the couple of bits that I've just gone through, made it a little bit clearer for you, maybe just pause this video and see how you get on step by step trying to factorize this before I play it. So the first step I'm going to do is break it up into two different halves. Okay, that'll always be the first step when you're grouping. Okay, and now I'm going to look across at the first one and say, well, definitely I can take 2 out, and there's no letters, so there's nothing I can work with. So that'll leave me with 2a plus 3b here. Okay, and that's fair enough. That fully factorized the first half. And then looking over at the second half of this up here, so there's no number and just the letter a, so plus a. And it's important to put the plus in there if it's a plus that you're factorizing out. So plus a. So divide 2a squared by a, that will leave me with 2a, and divide 3ab by a, that'll leave me just 3b. And again, you'll see that what's in the brackets is the very same. So you can go down that final step and say, well, 2 plus a in one bracket and 2a plus 3b in the other brackets. Okay, and that'll be that done. So now I have grouping done as well. So that's the second way that we would factorize. Okay, and the third way is going to add another little layer of rules, I guess, to it. So it's going to be what we call a brackets method, or a trinomial method. Trinomial just means 3 terms. So if you have 3 terms in it, and the terms would generally be something squared, a letter squared. So I'm going to say x squared, then a number with the same letter before it, so I'm going to say plus 6x, and then a number by itself, which we call a constant, so I'm going to say plus 8. Okay, and there's some rules with this, and the rules are going to be we have to get the factors of the last number and then they must also satisfy another rule, and it's that add up to the middle number. So let's look at that in this case. Factors of the last number, factors of 8, and it's a pair of factors, so it'll be, well, 1 by 8 is factors. There's also 2 by 4. They're the only ones that we have at this stage. And the two numbers added together must add up to the middle number. And in this case, you'll see there our middle number is 6. So very quickly, if you look here, 1 plus 8 will be 9. That's not going to work. 2 plus 4 is 6. So that's obviously the numbers we're going to choose. And I'm going to rewrite out the middle number now. And I'm going to, but instead of writing the 6x, I'm going to change it to 2x plus 4x. Okay, that still adds up to 6x, so I don't change anything at all. So it's going to x squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. So you'll see that I've just taken what I had up here, rewritten it down here, but I've applied the factors of the last number to add up to the middle number to give me 2 different numbers that add up to that middle number. Okay, and that's a rule you'll have to follow each time you do one of these. And now I'm going to use my grouping method. So let's take the first 2 terms and the second 2 terms. So the first 2, it's going to be x brackets. And again, if you figure out exactly what to do at any stage, try and pause the video and finish it yourselves before you play it out, and then obviously you can compare the answer. And then at the second one, I can take out 4 and leave it with x plus 2. You'll see there that I'm left with the same thing in each brackets, so I can obviously go down to this final stage. Okay, and that's what you're left with. And that's all you do. Okay, you just follow this main rule here. I would say it's 2 different rules. So the first rule is factors of the last number. The second part is that add up to the middle number. Okay, and then we write them out as you see there. Okay, I'll do one more example for that before I let you off again. This time I'm going to maybe make the last number a minus. Okay, so I'm going to have to get minus factors. So let's see. So this time now I'm left with a minus 12. So it's going to be the very same way. So it's going to be factors of the last number to add up to the middle number. So 12, factors of 12 are going to be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And because it's a minus 12, that means one of each of these numbers, one of each of these factors must be a minus. So let's see if we can make 4 from any of these. So let's see, so 12 minus 1 will give me 11, 1 minus 12 will give me minus 11, so it's not either of those two. 6 minus 2 gives me 4, so obviously that's going to be the number I'm going to try and use because it's the 4 up there that I was looking for. Okay, you can stay working on this, none of the rest of the factors would work. Okay, so it's going to be 4, so let's try and do that. Rewrite out the problem I was given again. So x squared plus 2x plus 6x, apologies, obviously this is going to be a minus 2x because it had to add up to 4, so that would be minus 2 plus 6 would give you a 4. Okay, and again break it up into its 2 halves and do the grouping method. So x brackets x minus 2 plus 6 brackets x minus 2. Then you'll be left with x plus 6 and x minus 2. Okay, that's as far as we've got to so far in class. On Monday I'm going to be putting up a new video going on the next step, onto the last part of factorising. I hope this helped for anybody, and if it didn't, or if you're still a little confused on anything, just email me at any stage and I'll get back